Hey everyone, my name is Jason Smith and I'm host of the Bridge Podcast. Today I want to talk to you about the Belt and Road Initiative, also known as the BRI, formerly known as One Belt, One Road. It's very complicated, so I want to walk you through. There's something called 5 connectivity. These are the tools of the Belt and Road: policy coordination, facilities connectivity, unimpeded trade, financial integration, and people-to-people bonds. But again, these are not the goals of the Belt and Road. These are the tools of the Belt and Road. So the goals of the Belt and Road are basically infrastructure development, logistics, poverty alleviation, and increasingly environmentalism on a win-win basis. That means whichever countries are participating in the Belt and Road will each win from each project that they develop together. Now, Chinese development finance is something that is separate from the BRI, but is integrated into the BRI. That means China has been building bridges and hydroelectric dams around the world outside of China since the 1960s, 1970s. It has been building hydroelectric dams on a small scale in Africa, for example. And the BRI has 150 member countries, and Chinese development finance is part of that. Loans, grants, and so forth. But China also does development finance for countries that are not BRI members, so we can't confuse the two. Now, some of the tools that China directly uses are loans and grants, direct aid, which usually is in an emergency, scientific, technical, and agricultural partnerships, as well as medical. That means sending, scientists, agronomists, to certain areas outside of China to help them find out what grows well and how to increase their yields. Now, the loans that China makes are typically concessional. That means no interest or maybe 2% interest most of the time. And these are very favorable terms. Usually there's a 5-year grace period, sometimes even a 7-year grace period with 20 years to pay back that 0, 1, or 2% loan. And in some cases there are goods directly linked to Chinese loans. For example, Ghana paid 10 years or 15 years of cocoa, as in chocolate, cocoa, to China to help pay for one of its hydroelectric dams. But that's uncommon. That is not typically how it works. In most cases, it's cash. And some cases, China forgives it. China completely forgives loans. Now, China has never ever seized any of these projects anywhere in the world. You cannot find an example where China has done so. And China has forgiven a lot of loans or restructured those loans. So this idea of debt trap, if you hear that, the person telling you that doesn't understand the BRI. This has been thoroughly documented by Johns Hopkins School of International Studies China-Africa Research Initiative. I will put some links up for you so that you can check and verify that for yourself. This team is led by the brilliant Dr. Deborah Brodigan in the United States. So she has shown tens of billions of dollars in RMB in loans that China has given out to other countries have either been restructured so that it's easier to pay back or forgiven, just completely erased. And you can find a lot of examples where entire $500 million just erased for an entire country. So China is not here to make money from these loans. Now, China's companies that build these projects, in fact, they do make some money, and that's part of the win-win. The country getting the project that they wanted, this bridge, gets the bridge that they wanted for a very low price that's much more competitive than, say, a loan from the Paris Club or the Club of Rome or the IMF. And China wins because maybe their companies are involved in the construction of that bridge. Now, the goal of the Belt and Road is largely, simplistically raising people out of poverty. It does that by building infrastructure and increasing logistics and increasing market competitiveness and market interlinkings. Now, the BRI uses a variety of tools to increase wealth for its 150 plus members around the world, which is most countries in the world. Not even just most, like 3/4 of all countries in the world are members of the Belt and Road Initiative. And one of the tools that China uses is gifts. This is true. And of course, a lot of people in the West are like, oh no, China wants people to think favorably of it. Yeah, Of course, that's what all countries do with diplomacy. So China has built friendship schools, friendship hospitals, friendship bridges for free for countries around the world. And I'm not talking about 5 or 10, but I'm talking about dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of free projects costing millions or tens of millions of dollars sometimes. And so we're going to take a look at some of these examples so we can have a better insight into what China's intent is in the BRI. So let's walk through a few of these. China provided a grant, that's free money for those of you who don't know what a grant is, to build the China-Mali Friendship Bridge. Inaugurated in 2011, the bridge has a daily traffic volume of 100,000 vehicles. Now imagine that, instead of having to drive way down somewhere else and cost the community money for transporting people and goods, you can just go straight over the bridge. 100,000 vehicles a day travel across this gift from China to the African country of Mali. Another example, China gave a 447 million RMB grant for an airport in Mozambique, including the runway, terminals, aprons, navigation lights, connecting roads, parking lots, and auxiliary facilities, and it opened in 2018. China gave Senegal in 2014 a children's hospital, which was handed over to Senegal as a gift from China and cost 63.5 million RMB. The hospital was 100% paid for by China. Another example, China built a free 4.5 billion RMB hospital, that's almost $1 billion, for the Central African Republic, which offers surgical, gynecological, pediatric, radiological, and dental treatments, and was gifted in 2011, before the BRI. This is just something that China has been doing for a long time. Opened in 2016, China gifted a free 99 million RMB high school, that's maybe $15 million, to Namibia, with classrooms, sports facilities, a main hall, laboratories, housing for teachers, a track, and a pavilion which can accommodate 690 students per year. In 2017, China gifted a 74 million RMB Hatcliffe High School to Zimbabwe. It has administrative buildings, classrooms, laboratories, a main hall, an athletic track, and more, and space for 960 students. China gifted a 320 million RMB opera house with 1,400 seats to Algeria. It was handed over to Algeria by China as a gift in 2016. China gave a $29 million 11-kilometer road, which includes 5 bridges, to Sierra Leone, and it was gifted to Sierra Leone in 2014. Kenya, China gave Kenya a $8.5 million hospital as a gift in 2013. It has 112 beds on a 7,000 square meter area. Another example, China gave the new $53.99 million University of Cape Verde, the entire university, to Cape Verde, free. It has 61 classrooms, 5 auditoriums, 34 laboratories, 8 computer rooms, a library, cafeterias, a sports hall, and a multi-purpose space, and can accommodate 4,890 students annually. Nepal, China gave Nepal a $35 million hospital in 2009, which includes 22 buildings for outpatient and inpatient needs, and 132 beds, which offers free to subsidized treatment for about 90,000 locals. In 2022, China completed and gave an $81 million Bangladesh-China Friendship Bridge to Bangladesh. Again, free. This is the 8th such bridge in Bangladesh. This is China working together with developing countries. This is the BRI. In 2021, China gave the $71.95 million National Nephrology Hospital to Sri Lanka. It has 500 beds, 150 dialysis machines, 8 operating theaters, 2 ICUs, a laboratory, a 200-seat auditorium, and other facilities. Now, this just represents a small fraction of the gifts that China has given to nations all over the world. China is also building hydropower dams, solar farms, factories, rail, high-speed rail, people-to-people exchanges, agricultural technology exchanges, ports, special economic zones, and more. What is the BRI? This is the BRI. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Hello.